Have you ever had the experience in midlife that it seems like you're in a rut, you're stuck in this rut, and then just when you think things can't get worse, they do? This was the situation that I found myself in. So if this has happened to you, you are definitely not alone. And as a matter of fact, today I am reading part two of my manuscript. I'll link to the last one below where I started my story of just feeling like I was stuck in midlife and already realizing that I needed, that things were stagnant and stuck. I didn't realize at that point yet that there was a way out. I wanted out, but I didn't know how to get there. So part two begins with this. I was back at the moment a year and a half ago, sitting at my kitchen table. I had opened my computer to the news on my neighborhood Facebook page that a huge area of land on the outskirts of our neighborhood, which had been up for sale, had a potential buyer. That buyer planned to build an industrial warehouse. Now, I guess you have to understand the layout of my neighborhood to understand exactly how devastating this idea was. This can't be happening. The thought repeated again and again in my head. Living there had always been chaotic in its own way. It was one of those tucked away neighborhoods with lots of winding streets, and on them, row after row of similar looking houses. You could get lost coming home if you took a wrong turn. So, you know the kind of neighborhood that I'm talking about. But the only way to do that was to enter through one of the two entrances at the far end of the neighborhood, opposite where my house sat. So there, one led to my house, and then the other entrance was over on the other side. A quick turn off my street, and then the connecting street led to my house. But it was there in the empty field on the other side of the street where the warehouse would be built. It was not a done deal, although the odds were leaning in favor of it happening. The other project the buyers were considering was a low-income housing unit, just another sign of how blighted that area had become. I felt sickened considering either possibility. How had my life reached this point? I had already felt trapped in the house for years, and now this confirmed it. I was due to go visit my younger daughter, who lived hours away. She was now in a good place. She had made me a grandmother as well. A few days of visiting her and the grandchildren would help. I was constantly getting those offers from places to buy ugly houses. I had considered this to be adding insult to injury. Now the notion of calling just to see what I could get for my current house. Now I considered the notion of calling just to see what I could get for my current house. I would consider it, then shake my head. Moving out was only part of the bigger problem. Where would I go instead? So as you know, it wasn't just the fact that this warehouse was coming. That was just like insult to injury, because the larger issue was the fact that the children had moved out, the neighborhood was getting more blighted. I was staying stuck where I was at while everybody else continued to move forward. And so this was the position in life that I found myself in. During that visit to my daughters, I got a surprise. Rather than remain in the house they had been renting, she and her husband were in the market to buy. I spent the next couple of days walking through potential houses with them. And I remember thinking, once again, everyone else gets to move on with life but me. Do you ever feel this way? Like you're the one that got left behind? Like you're the one that everybody else gets to move forward and do things and enjoy their lives, but you're the one that is stuck in your situation. And again, this is why I wanted to share this story with you, because I just wanted to let you know that I can relate to that. Because at the time that this was all happening, I truly was stuck. I felt like there were no other options for me. other than the life that I was living in, the life that I was living, and no way out. And although I was happy for my children and happy to have grandchildren, now this other one that was born in the meantime, of all of this, they were living, like I said, hours away. So again, more grandchildren I couldn't really see very often. And it just felt like everybody else was living life and I was just kind of stranded. And so this one may be a little bit shorter. I'm going to leave it here and ask you if you have ever felt the same way or if that's what you're going through now. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what you're experiencing. And in the next video, I'll go forward and I will kind of get into what the breaking point was for me and what made me change and what helped me get out of my rut. And it's not going to be the same for you as it was for me, but I'm hoping that by sharing my story, that first of all, you can relate to some aspects of it and some of the feelings that I felt. And more importantly, for you to know that I can relate to you and that I can see where you're coming from and know that, maybe I can give you that, leg up, Remember when you were kids and you'd be like, step on my foot, on my hand, and I'll help you up on whatever. Maybe I can be that person to help you because I have been in this position before. I have felt trapped and hopeless about midlife and feeling like it was going nowhere. And in the next video, I'll share, like I said, kind of the culmination of all of this and how I actually got out. So I will see you in the next video.